when we think of the brand Red Bull, we think of a mediocre energy drink company. Oh, and also Multi 21. How's it going, everyone? In today's video I will be talking about 5 things that are irritating about Red Bull Racing. So let's get started. Before we get into that, let's just focus about how Red Bull came into Formula 1. Red Bull started their F1 journey in 2005 with drivers David Coulthard and Christian Klien. Right, so let's get into the 5 reasons. Pierre joined the team in 2019 and had a rough time from the start. In fact, in his first 4 races for the team, excluding Shanghai, it was clear to see that he was struggling with the car in qualifying, and with him qualifying 17th in Australia and 13th in Bahrain. However, in China he did have a massive improvement, qualifying 6th, and he actually managed to finish exactly where he started. However, unfortunately in Baku it was back to the reality of being on the back row of the grid, and to add insult to injury, he retired on lap 38 in the race with a drive shaft issue. Throughout his time with Red Bull, he had a best finish of 5th place at Silverstone, while his teammate won 2 races in the time when they were together as teammates. And whilst he was struggling with the car and in the team with Red Bull, the team principal Christian Horner stated to various reporters that Gasly just needed some time to get settled in with the team and get used to the car. However, I believe when he did have those talks with Horner and probably Helmut Marko, who is a name I could mention on this list, but spoilers, he's not there, I could have pictured easily that in those talks with both of them, Gasly probably got a lot of grief, and it probably didn't help him with the amount of pressure he was under already with Red Bull. And to be honest with you, we will never know what went on behind closed doors with the talks after the race, because we don't get to see it. I mean, on Drive to Survive, that's a really good series. You really do get the insight into what goes on in behind the closed doors, but we don't get the full picture. We don't get the full story. There's a lot of things that teams probably don't want you to see, so you just see what you want to see in those things. But however, I think that those talks probably they were a massive blow to Gasly. But to be honest with you, the thing with Gasly is he has had the last laugh. He's gone to Toro Rosso. He scored that podium in Brazil, which I was absolutely celebrating a lot over, because he deserves it. I think he's great, and he definitely should be in a better place than where he is now. I bet you all knew this one was coming. Well, anyway, let's talk about the Russian torpedo. That is Daniel Kvyat. He joined the team in 2015, and actually, which I still can't believe this to this day, he actually outscored Daniel Ricciardo in points that season. I generally can't get over that. Like, literally, I don't know why I'm getting so surprised. I'm so surprised. He is good though. So, but Daniel Ricciardo, I would have never thought that. Anyway, let's get straight back into this. However, in 2016, he couldn't paint the same picture as his 2015 campaign. He got absolutely walked all over in terms of what happened that season, and we're going to go into it right now. I mean, after his race in China, Vettel had stated that Kvyat was a torpedo after an earlier collision involving the both of them, hence why I chose the torpedo line at the start of the video. Yeah, I know it wasn't funny. Whilst in Russia, Kvyat hadn't helped his cause by hitting Vettel into turn 1 and then hitting him again into turn 2, sending the German out of the race. I mean, at this time, Red Bull already had their sights set on Max Verstappen after his absolutely sensational first season in 2015, if I don't say so myself. And with Kvyat knowing all this already, it would be clear to see that this would be putting him under immense pressure race after race, knowing that your own team are interested in someone else to replace you. And you know, and he didn't help his cause, because in Russia we all know what happened. You know exactly what happened in Russia, and that gave Red Bull the absolutely perfect reason to get rid of the young Russian. And yeah, I mean, it was very sad to see him go, but what can you do? I mean, Red Bull really wanted him, and Ferrari was already interested in Verstappen, but you just see what I mean, how I keep coming back to the treatment of certain drivers, because Red Bull are just sort of hanging them out to dry, to be honest with you. I mean, teams are allowed to do that, but the way Red Bull do it, they're a bit ruthless with it. And I mean, I'm not too sure if it's a good thing. I mean, it kind of, if I was a driver and that happened to me, I think that'd probably break my self-confidence quite a bit, and I think that definitely hit Kvyat quite hard. I mean, he might not have shown it, but I definitely think he was definitely not the same driver that he was after his demotion, being demoted to Toro Rosso. And you know, he came back in 2019, but still, I think after 2015 it just all sort of fell apart for this man, and it was a shame to see that. He has been team principal since the team debuted in 2005, and who else am I talking about but Christian Horner? And since his time in charge, he has said and done some questionable things. I mean, in 2016, after the Spanish Grand Prix, which, as we all know, Max Verstappen won, Horner couldn't stop mentioning how good he was for his age. I mean, my goodness, he was actually annoying me. I was watching that race. This guy couldn't stop saying, Max Verstappen, oh, he's so good because of how young he is. Because he's so young, he's just going to be so good. The fact he's blossoming at such a young, it was just so annoying. In fact, he continued to do this every time Verstappen stood on the podium throughout the 2016 season. I mean, must you not get bored? I mean, to add insult to injury, another thing that's annoying about this man is that he literally blatantly shows more support for the top drivers. He literally pretty much neglects his second driver. So I don't know if Horner understands that you need both your drivers to be scoring points consistently to bring home a Constructors' Championship. Now, I know you're probably going to say that, oh, Webber was treated well and score consistently. Well, let's just cast our minds back to Silverstone 2010, when Vettel's new version of the front wing broke, and you know, probably Horner and Helmut Marko decided to take Webber's version of the new front wing and just give it to Vettel straight up. And I mean, however, luckily and thank goodness that this happened, Mark Webber had the last laugh at the end of the day, and I was really happy because he took home the win and said one of the most famous lines on a team radio, that was,
"Fantastic guys, not bad for a number 2 driver. Cheers."
I mean, I've watched this race. I watched Silverstone 2010, and obviously was following the sport. I've been following it since I was 3, as I've said in previous videos. So I've watched this race, and I remember exactly the moment when Webber said that. And do you know what? At the time, I was just happy the fact that he expressed himself in that manner, not being one of the drivers to just not say anything, that he would speak his word, and he's being very totally serious there. He pretty much, you know what, it kind of made me happy, because it made me think that Mark Webber was showing Christian Horner that he had the last laugh, and in fact that he kind of made them all look like mugs that weekend. You know, they all back in Vettel, and Webber just went and pulled it out the bag. So it was always good to see that, and I was happy because I've never really liked the way Christian Horner goes around managing his drivers. It's blatant to see. He's doing it with Max Verstappen at the moment, and I think Albon, it's too early to judge at the moment, but you know, it's inevitable that the same thing's going to happen. It happens with every single Red Bull driver, second Red Bull driver that is there. I mean, it's happened with Webber, it's happened with Gasly, and it will probably happen with Albon as well. Who knows what will happen, but we'll just have to see into the next few seasons. Now, I know that Red Bull is very well known for this, and this ties into the number 3 reason kind of perfectly, to be fair to you, because I kind of ended number 3 off with the fact that the number 1 driver receives all the treatment, and the number 4 point is that all the treatment is given to the number 1 driver, and it's just blatant to see. I mean, you've seen the Verstappens and the Vettels getting the top treatment, and it's kind of annoying because, as I said, you need your 2 drivers together to be scoring consistently for the constructors. I know that at the end of the day, most people think it's the drivers that's the most important, but the constructors is a very, very important championship to the team. It actually gets you a lot of bonus money. I mean, teams do get paid, obviously, quite a lot already from sponsorship and the deals they have with certain other companies and any advertising they do outside of F1. But in terms of the Constructors' Championship, you actually end up getting quite a lot of money from it, depending on where you finish. And that's why everyone says, we want to bring both cars home, because it is a very important championship, and it can get you a lot of money, a lot of bonus money if you win, or if you finish quite decently, which is why the midfield is so tight and they really want to be ahead of each other, because that extra little bonus that they get could help them a lot. But with Red Bull, the fact that they only treat their number 1 driver with the respect and give him all the support they need damages their chances of winning a Constructors' Championship. And it's kind of annoying, because at the end of the day, it's embarrassing to see that only one of your cars is popping off and the other one is like 6th, 7th down the grid, and etc. You want to be supporting both your drivers, and it annoys me to see that just only the number 1 driver. And I'm not saying that other teams don't do it as well. I mean, Mercedes do it, Ferrari do it, every team on the grid probably has done it at one point, but they do it in a little bit of a more quieter manner, whilst Red Bulls is literally all for show, and obviously because they haven't been around as long, there's less drivers to talk about, but it is a very, it recurs a lot. Every time they get someone that's a superstar, they do it, and it's annoying, and I think it needs to stop. Hopefully it will stop at some point. Well, the Ricciardo fallout, right? So, I've already sort of spoken about Daniel Ricciardo recently, about his move to Renault and McLaren, for a matter of fact. But today, we're going to be talking about his Red Bull days. Now, I mean, in 2017, I'll probably say this is where things started to settle in. I'd say towards maybe the end of 2017. You could definitely see that Red Bull wanted to move forward with Verstappen more than Ricciardo, and I think Ricciardo kind of knew this coming into the back end of 2017, but for definite into the 2018 season. I mean, after Ricciardo decided he was going to move to Renault from Red Bull, he retired in about, I believe it was 6 races, the next 6 races, 6 out of the next. However many it was in the second part of the season, he retired out of those. So it was clear to see. I don't know if this was a Red Bull thing, and Red Bull, I'm not saying they wanted to sabotage with him, but it was just a bit weird how that occurred after he announced he was going to leave the team. And it's very interesting to see completely. But Ricciardo is his own man. He can do exactly what he wants. But you could see, I think, again, the Red Bull management sort of drove him out over time. I feel like they kind of made him into the person that he was. He said that he's very happy that he picked the Red Bull program because he was allowed to be who he wanted to be, and that's why he is the way he is around the paddock. And you know what? Great job for Red Bull for that. But it doesn't discard the fact that they pretty much drove him away from the team by the fact that they were putting all of their time into Verstappen and sort of backing away from Ricciardo. It was almost as if he was the predecessor of Verstappen that didn't work, so they've just left him to do whatever he needs to do and fend for himself, and just put their complete and utter faith into Verstappen. And the same with Verstappen. I feel like it's going to happen again. When the next Verstappen comes in and Verstappen is alongside that person, Verstappen will be again docked of his number one status and put to the side, and he'll literally have to fend for himself like Ricciardo did. Hopefully things are better for Ricciardo at his McLaren spell. I really hope so. He's actually one of the drivers that isn't a Ferrari driver that I really want to win a championship, so let's hope that he does end up rounding things out with the title, but who knows, we'll have to see in the future. My Instagram's there. My Twitter should appear right about now. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.